episode 2 of the podcast. Don't listen to this at 3 a.m. because you don't want to listen to this at 3 a.m. But let's get right into it. So we had a lot of things to talk about on our first episode, which we talked about Orphan. We talked about the Hollywood Horror Nights at Universal Studios and some video game news and some other stuff. Well, we've gotten some extra stuff today, and I'm just excited to talk about it with all of you. So if you listened to that first episode, thank you. If you haven't, go check it out. There's still some stuff there that is definitely still new and a lot to discuss about because it's such a great year for horror. That's why I wanted to do a podcast just based on horror for spooky season. So wherever you're listening on YouTube, TikTok, or Spotify, or if you're just watching this on Buzzsprout, well, listening to this on Buzzsprout, I appreciate you. Would really love if you go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Culture Elixir is the name. You'll find us there. You can maybe go through our Buzzsprout website or wherever you are, or just search us up on YouTube, Culture Elixir. But let's get into this. So no sponsors still, so we're our only sponsors, so that's what I'm saying. Go subscribe to YouTube or on TikTok or wherever you can find us, on Twitter as well. But let's talk about our first line of discussion here, which is the Hellraiser teaser that we got today. So Hellraiser is officially on the way. Like I was saying in the first episode of the podcast, when are we going to hear more chatter and talk about this new Hellraiser that is coming to Hulu? Well, it sounds like they heard me over there at Hulu and they're like, you know what? This guy's been asking, let's give him the date and everything. So October 7th is the release date for the Hellraiser movie that will be on Hulu, which is coming to us from the people who did the Night House, which I haven't watched yet. It is on my list to watch, so I will definitely be getting around to that. But it will also star Jamie Clayton as the Hell Priest. So we are definitely getting a interesting amount of stuff from Hulu as of late. I think they started the year off strong with Fresh, and they continue with Prey, which was such a huge summer movie, and now we get the horror movie goodness that is Hellraiser. So I'm excited about this one for sure. Now, we don't know much yet, but we do know that it's going to follow a woman that is having this addiction and is trying to come off of it. And while she's doing all of this, she finds a mysterious puzzle box. You know where we go with this, right? So I'm excited to see this once it's fully released and cannot wait. So in other news, we got another trailer for a horror movie that's been on my radar as well, which is the Goodnight Mommy trailer from Amazon, which will be bringing us a new take on the 2014 Australian psychological horror film Goodnight Mommy. So this trailer looks just like we saw the other Goodnight Mommy, like it gives you the same vibes and everything. And I was always wondering why remake this story. Like, it is just such a great film on its own. I don't see the point in having to do it again. But this trailer has convinced me otherwise, that they can do something incredible with much more bigger budget and all of that. And Amazon's always delivering us a high caliber movie and show, so we'll definitely see how this one plays out. This one stars Naomi Watts as well as Cameron Crovetti and Nicholas Crovetti as the twins who are going to try and figure out what's going on with their mom. I think that the trailer really gives the same vibes that we got from the original, and it definitely gets me excited to see how they're going to do this remake. And like I said, Amazon always delivers high caliber quality content, so I'm hoping that this one will just do that. This is going to be coming out in about 3 weeks time. September 16th is the release date, and you best believe we will be watching this. So I'm excited. I will be revisiting the original Goodnight Mommy before we watch this new one, so I will have a video out for you over at the channel on YouTube next week, and we'll probably discuss it on the podcast next week as well. So by the way, this is the final episode of the week. We will see you back on Tuesday with a new episode, so just laying it out there, hoping everybody has a good weekend and catches some pretty interesting stuff at the theaters. One movie coming out is The Invitation, which we will talk about on Tuesday, but we'll talk about it beforehand on our YouTube channel. That one just looks really good. Vampires and everything, and hopefully we get something interesting from it, because the trailer, I feel, gave away a lot, but we'll see if it did or it didn't once we get the full movie. So I will have a video on that tomorrow on my channel, so make sure you check that out for sure. So let's get into other movies that are coming to theaters, not this year, but next year. And let's start off with Evil Dead Rise, which was a movie I was anticipating so much this year. I was excited to get this film into our hands. And then they tell us this movie has now been pushed to 2023. But the good thing is it's for a good reason, because now it is going to go out in a theatrical run instead of just going straight to HBO and just being forgotten, in my opinion. This film is one that I'm excited for. So what we read here for its premise says, in the fifth Evil Dead film, a road-weary Beth pays an overdue visit to her older sister Ellie, who is raising 3 kids in her own, on her own, cramped LA apartment. The sisters' reunion is cut short by the discovery of a mysterious book deep in the bowels of Ellie's building, giving rise to flesh-possessing demons and thrusting Beth into a primal battle for survival. She is faced with the most nightmarish version of motherhood imaginable. And this just sounds incredible in my opinion. I'm excited to get back into the Evil Dead world, and this is like a dream come true that it's going to be released in theaters April 21st, 2023. So there's a lot there to be excited for. I'm excited to get back into this universe, which I think has been sort of forgotten for a bit. And thanks to the Evil Dead game, the resurgence of also Sam Raimi coming into the spotlight has definitely gotten more people into the Evil Dead franchise. And of course, the show that ultimately was I think it was canceled, or I don't remember entirely. But I've caught a couple of the first episodes. It definitely was something I was hoping to see more of, but we'll see how this movie does once it is released. We also got a release date for The Nun 2, and The Nun 2 is going to be coming to us by the writer that did Malignant as well, which was such a huge hit in the horror community. So I'm excited to hear that we are getting a sequel for this. So on April 26, 2022, they had announced this as part of their slate, and they said that Michael Chavez, who actually did the Llorona film, will actually be here to do this one as well. And he did The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Although I wasn't that much of a fan of both of those films, I did think that the direction and everything was great. And I think with a writer that the one that was behind Malignant here, we could definitely get something interesting. So I'm definitely ready for this and hoping that we get something special here, because I think The Nun has a lot of potential. I think Valak is one of the most, I feel, iconic newer horror monsters out there right now, and it just made sense for them to try and continue this on. So we also have another horror film that got announced that will be coming to us from A24, and A24 has just been on a roll this year with horror, like I've said, and next year they seem to be continuing that with the latest film, I Saw the TV Glow. This comes from the director who did the latest film that was a huge hit as well, and sort of is going under the radar in my opinion, because I feel that that movie was sort of getting a lot of buzz at the beginning of the year, but now it's sort of dwindled down. But I still have yet to see it, but I want to, which is We're All Going to the World's Fair, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival this year. So the film I Saw the TV Glow will actually have Phoebe Bridgers, Fred Durst, and Lindsay Jordan of Snail Mail in it, and we actually have a cast that includes Helena Howard, Daniel Deadwyler, Amber Benson, Ian Foreman, Michael Morona, Connor O'Malley, Emma Portner, and Danny Tamborelli. This film stars actually also Justice Smith and Bridget Lindy Payne. So this is what we have as a synopsis. The film follows 2 teenage outcasts, Smith and Lindy Payne, who bond over their shared love of a scary television show. But the boundary between TV and reality begins to blur after it is mysteriously cancelled. Now, this is written and directed by Jane Schoenbrunn, who is the director of We're All Going to the World's Fair, which actually premiered at Sundance Film Festival this year and has gotten rave reviews for that. I have not yet actually caught that movie, and I definitely do want to. It's on my radar and one for me to watch, so I'll definitely try and watch that before this film gets a release date or anything, because I'm excited to check that out. So I don't think this film comes out this year. It's definitely going to be one I feel is going to do the festival circuits before it's seen in a theater or anything like that. So I'm excited to check it out once it is released, but let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. So another movie we don't have a release date yet, but a movie that I was excited for is Salem's Lot. Like I was talking earlier, this is a whole thing where Warner Brothers sort of shifting a lot of things around, and so we don't have a release date yet for Salem's Lot. And I'm anticipating this one because it just sounds so good, and I'm excited to check it out once they do decide to release it. Another Stephen King adaptation, of course, but we could definitely see something along the lines of this coming out maybe until next Halloween. Like I said, Warner Brothers has been shifting a lot of dates. Aquaman and Shazam got pushed to next year, and then we saw that The Evil Dead Rise got pushed to next year, but then got a theatrical release. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're trying to do with Salem's Lot, right? In other news about HBO and all of that, we did get our Los Spookies trailer, and I'm excited for this one. I think this is one of the best shows to definitely catch up on. If you haven't watched this show, it is definitely a good show when you're just looking for something simple and easy to digest and just keep you entertained. It is hilarious, and one I definitely recommend for you to check out if you haven't yet. It is going to be a fun one to see, and if you are a fan of shows like What We Do in the Shadows, which is another horror comedy-esque show I would recommend on Hulu, I would definitely say Los Spookies might be just right up your alley for sure. So I'll be talking more about it once we get closer to release date, but I'm excited here. So let's talk about the Killer Clowns game, which we saw a trailer at during Gamescom, and this is definitely one that came out of nowhere, out of the blue. So in the previous podcast, I was talking about the Leatherface game, and I also talked about Killer Clowns from Outer Space having this little short for Universal's Horror Nights, and now we hear that they are going to have their own game, and this just sounds super, super exciting, right? Because this is a franchise, a IP that I think needs to have a sequel already, but the fact is we're just sort of getting this whole thing where we are being teased about it, because we get the Horror Nights, we get the merch, we get the video game, but where is that movie? Where is that sequel? And we'll definitely see if they do get closer and closer to doing it or not, but overall I'm excited for this. This looks great. The imagery and everything here is just up the alley of what the game should be and what you want from this IP. So super excited for it. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions on it, if you're excited or not for this clown game to come out, because I for one am definitely ready to see what they have up their sleeves with this. So pretty much that was all of the stuff that we got recently, because we also saw a Pearl first look as well. Not much yet. I am excited for this one as well, as September release. We also saw more of Halloween Ends, and we've already talked about that as well. But this weekend we do have The Invitation coming out, which should be interesting to see how that movie does. I've been talking about this whole thing about vampires coming back, and I think The Invitation will be a clear sign if they are or not. Now, one movie in particular I've gotten more excited about as well that is coming in September is Barbarian. It had a premiere or sort of screening being held in Los Angeles, and a lot of the critics and people that went to that are saying that this one's going to be crazy. Some are even comparing it to how sort of Malignant was a divide for a lot of people when it came to the twists and turns of it. They say Barbarian holds that same weight that that one did, and that gets me more excited, because I think when a film does that and it wants to take the risk that it's gonna take, it definitely pays off in the end, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with that. But overall, this is definitely one of my most anticipated for sure. I think that September is shaping up to be a very solid month for movies, with movies such as Pearl. Then we have Barbarian. Then we're also going to have Don't Worry Darling, and just a slew of other stuff as well on TV. It's definitely a great year for media, and I think it definitely is because of the breaks and all of that happened due to everything going on, of course. So we'll see how these movies do, but Barbarian is at the top of my list now for sure. So that's going to do it for me. Tomorrow we will be watching the new American Horror Story that will come out. So that is one of my recommendations of something to watch. 3,000 Years of Longing as well comes out this weekend. More of a fantasy type movie than a horror movie, but it's George Miller back on the big screen. So if you're into George Miller and visuals and all of that, and you can go to see this at a matinee or anything like that, I truly recommend it. I did enjoy it when I watched it. My full spoiler-free review should be up by the time you're listening to this, so go check it out on my YouTube channel, Culture Elixir, but I will also have a spoiler full review over the weekend. And of course, my recommendation for myself is The Invitation. I haven't gotten a chance to see this, but definitely will be trying to check it out this weekend. Like I said, this one, I know the trailer gave away a lot, and I'm still excited about it because I want to see this type of horror sort of be back. And I hope that this movie does bring this horror back, and we'll see what happens with it. Like, I've been seeing no reviews for it yet. That kind of is a little sussy to me that we don't hear much of it because it feels like they're trying to keep something hidden. But we'll see. We'll see if we get some reviews tomorrow because tomorrow it does release like at night. We know on Thursdays things release. So we'll see. And I'll keep you all updated on Twitter and YouTube and all of that of what I see about this film and its reviews. And once I see it, of course, we're going to talk about it. But we'll talk about it on the podcast till next Tuesday because we have our new episode next Tuesday, episode 3. So podcast episodes are just going to drop on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's going to be it for now. And then probably come October, we might add a third date where we will do a live podcast recording where y'all can come on and ask questions and all of that. That will probably happen, a test run of it in the last week of September, so stay tuned for that. I'll announce that for sure. And of course, we're going to be doing merch, so you best believe we got that coming for sure. It's going to be fun. We're going to do giveaways and all of that on the podcast as well as on our YouTube channel. We're about to run a big giveaway as soon as we hit that 25,000 mark, so you best go over there and subscribe to know when that happens. But thank you for tuning in to the second episode of the podcast. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything we discussed, from the Hellraiser teaser to the Goodnight Mommy trailer, the Evil Dead Rise movie, The Nun 2, I Saw the TV Glow, Evil Dead Rise, Salem's Lot, Los Spookies, and Killer Clown, the video game. Let me know what you think about all of that and what are you most excited for. Like I said, Hellraiser has been at the top of my list for the whole year ever since I heard about this coming, and now that we finally got a teaser trailer, I'm anticipating a trailer sometime in the next week or two, so I'm gonna be definitely excited about that. But as always, check us out everywhere where you can find us. CultureElixir.com is our website where we post all of our articles. Culture Elixir is our YouTube channel. Our Twitter is Culture Elixir. On Instagram, we were The Culture Elixir. And now on TikTok, we're Culture Elixir. So all of those places are a good place for you to find us. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure wherever you listen to, if you can, also get the chance to download the podcast. You do that. It helps out with pushing the podcast forward. And it really does mean a lot, everybody who tuned in to the first episode. Hopefully this episode was a little better. And we're trying to get sort of the format down before the end of the month. So that way, come September and October, we're just doing the best that you need. So anyways, so before we end the podcast, I do want to ask each and every one of you, we are going to be doing this now on every podcast ending of the week. We will be asking, what is your favorite so-and-so? So today we're going to start with, what is your favorite found footage horror movie? We're going to be discussing this in next week's podcast. So I definitely want as many answers as you can give. There will be a community post on my YouTube channel that should be already up where you can find this question and you can answer there. That way we can get all of the answers, and you can also do it on Twitter as well. So go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. What is your favorite found footage horror movie? For me, it definitely has to be Wreck. I think that was one of the best found footage horror movies we got in the past years. And a remake of it, Quarantine, was okay, but it still didn't come to the level that Wreck was. And if you're not a fan of the found footage genre and horror, let me know why as well. We want to discuss that as well, because I think it is a lost art form in it. In order to make a good one, we haven't really seen one be done in quite some time. There's been some here and there as they come that do a good job with found footage, but I definitely do want to go back to the basics and figure out what made these initial ones so good, as well as when it all started. So we'll be discussing all of that all the way back to when they very much so started, and Blair Witch wasn't really the first one, so we'll definitely discuss all of that as well in next week's podcast. But definitely interested in knowing your thoughts and opinions. But just wanted to lay that out there and ask that question. We will be having this question every Thursday on the podcast to pretty much answer on the next Tuesday. So this is the first one, like I said, and really interested in seeing all of the answers y'all have to give, because this is honestly one of the most questions I get asked myself is what happened to found footage. I remember there was a time after Paranormal Activity where there was a lot coming out, but they all didn't seem to hit that same note that Paranormal Activity hit, where it hit like thunder and it pretty much went crazy. And I think it's really rare to see a found footage nowadays that doesn't get sort of mocked or sort of viewed as that looks fake. But at the end of the day, I feel like many people believed Paranormal Activity was fake, but for some reason that sort of was the movie where you could suspend your belief and just watch it and not really care about if it's real or not. So I'm curious to see what exactly that was with that one, and just talking about the other ones, because a movie like Wreck, I can see and I know for sure that's fake. That didn't really happen, but at the end of the day, I still enjoyed it and was very much so entertained. So I'm curious to see what everybody thinks about where did this found footage like genre go and where could it go next. So leave them down below, because we will be talking about that next week, and we will also have some other stuff planned. Hopefully by then we'll get to 24,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we can talk about the upcoming giveaway we're going to be doing on the YouTube channel, so don't miss out on that as well. And if you have any movie recommendations, also leave them down below. I'm trying to make a whole horror video before Halloween comes around to just give you a bunch of movies to check out during that spooky season time. So I'm going to be compiling a list of my own, but also taking recommendations from each and every one of you. So that way we can all build a list to get ready for spooky season. But yeah, that's going to do it for me anyways. So make sure you leave down below what is your favorite horror movie as well. Well, not favorite horror, also favorite horror movie, of course, because we're building this list. But what is your favorite found footage horror film? Because as I said, it is a lost art and we definitely want to get back to it. And hopefully in the future, we'll see it come back in some shape, way, or form. I think the thing is a lot of found footage hasn't adapted to the time. I know Host was one of the movies that definitely brought it into this time period, which was great the way it was able to sort of fit it into this new culture we are in with computers and phones and all of that. And I think that a movie that can also do it well with how we use our cell phones as well is definitely one that will get it right, but we'll see. As always, I'll see all of you next time. Check out all of our other videos. If you're watching this on YouTube, check us out anywhere else you can. But I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive. If you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you. Make sure you check out all our other videos as well. Like I said, our podcast is already on Buzzsprout, but we will be uploading a video here on YouTube with the podcast as well, if you don't want to go check it out over there. But it would really mean a lot if you go over there and download it, because we're trying to get to a certain amount of downloads, because that's when we can really start to push out a lot more things. So make sure you check us out wherever you can. And like I said, make sure you're hitting that notification bell and that subscribe button here on YouTube, because we're trying to get to 25,000 subscribers. We are so close to 24,000. Hopefully we can get there in the next couple of days. But as always, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.